In this video, I will be ranking all nations in Europe. The rankings will be based off of three factors: the strength of a nation, the position of a nation, and also the formables. For the strength, a nation can get up to 25 points. For its position, it can get up to 20 points, and for the formables, it can get up to 5 points. Strength is pretty self-explanatory. For its position, it basically means how easy it is to access Europe and expand, but also how easy it is to defend yourself, or overall having less enemies on your border. And for formables, it's basically how good the formables are for the nation and how many. Let's get into it, starting off with the F tier. These nations are just kinda bad. They're either just, one city nations or in a really bad position. The worst country in Europe is Gibraltar. This is because usually Spain instantly invades you, you have no population, you're one city state, which means it takes only 25 days to justify on you, and not to mention you don't even have a single formable. It's just terrible. Next up is Jersey, which has literally the exact same problem. This time, instead of it being Spain, it's France. The only benefit of it is that it actually does have one formable. Even though it's terrible, it does at least have it. Next up is its brother Guernsey, which is practically the same country. Then we have San Marino, which has the same issues, however it has better formables. Who would have thought that the F tier would be filled with these? Anyways, this one has a better position due to it just being an island, making it easier to defend. Andorra is very similar to the Isle of Man, but instead of it being an island nation, it is on decent terrain, which makes it just easier to defend. Monaco has the same fate as Andorra, but it has better terrain and better formables. Same score, same reason. You might be wondering why Malta has such a better position than the Isle of Man. Well, it's simple. Isle of Man usually get instantly invaded by the United Kingdom. Malta usually gets invaded a bit later on, which gives you way more time to prepare, and also just has a better formable. The first nation on the list that has more than one city, and also has a shrine that is not one. Yay. Either way, I think you know what the problem with this nation is. All of your neighbors want you dead. Now you might be confused why the Faroe Islands have a better position ranking than Malta. Well, it is because, from my experience, it barely gets invaded, and when it does, it's usually like in 2022 where you can already fight back. Yes, UK does need you to form the North Sea Empire, however, they usually invade you close to last for some reason. As you notice, F tier was mostly one city nations. These nations now usually have more cities, which means you can actually make at least some factories. Starting off the E tier, we have my home country of Slovenia. Sadly, it just doesn't have enough cities and doesn't have enough population, and usually gets invaded by Italy early on. But hey, at least we're not in F tier, right? Then we have Montenegro, which is basically Slovenia, but has a bit of a better position, however has worse formables. Then of course, we have Latvia, which is obviously stronger because it has way more cities, but also has a worse position due to, Big Daddy Russia that wants to conquer you. Either way, it's okay. Cyprus is an island nation with multiple cities, which already gives it a good position, except for the fact that Turkey wants to conquer you early, which, can be rough. Either way, if you get enough time, you can probably defend by just having the navy. Macedonia is similar to Montenegro, but it's stronger and it has better formables. Estonia is basically Latvia, but has better formables. What carries this nation is the fact that you're basically safe if Romania and Ukraine are on a player, because Russia will most likely invade you very late and not early, and you have a good formable to just get cores all of Romania early. Very similar to Estonia and Latvia, it's just that it's stronger than both of them. The nations are starting to get better. Starting off the D tier, we have Croatia, which just has a lot of cities, meaning you can spam a lot of factories, and an early game formable of the Kingdom of Croatia, which just gives you cores over Bosnia. Sadly, there are no square cities though. And right after it, we have its neighbor, Bosnia, which is actually stronger than Croatia, but is in a worse position due to just being neighbors with Serbia and Croatia, which both won it. Either way, it has a good formable of Kingdom of Bosnia. You might be confused why I put Greenland on this list, since it's technically not European. It's because 50 is a better number than 49, let's be real. And technically, in real life, it's a part of Denmark, which is in Europe. You can cry about it, I don't care. It has an insane position due to the fact that it's all Arctic. The only thing bringing it down is of course its strength, and the fact that even though yes, it is all Arctic, all of the cities are on the coast, which means it's actually not that difficult to invade. Albania just has so many cities, which makes it able to spam so many factories, and it has an okay formable. Slovakia is so high due to its terrain. Combined with the formable modifier of Czechoslovakia, it can be really strong, but all of your neighbors also want you dead. Ireland is nice, it was starting with a square city. However, your neighbor, the United Kingdom, can just instantly invade you. The problem is that, while yes, it is technically an island, UK also has 3 cities on the island, which means they can spawn troops there or send them there preemptively before declaring war, which means having a navy won't stop all of your problems. Denmark is actually really similar to Ireland, except for the fact that it has better formables. Now, Belarus is interesting. While yes, it is pretty strong, the problem is Big Daddy Russia, obviously, and the fact that you only have 1 square city makes it a lot harder to fight. Czechia is good. It has a square city, quite a lot of cities, but you know, Germany is your neighbor and also Poland, which both want you. But you also have really good formables, and many of them, especially Czechoslovakia with the modifier. The thing about Bulgaria is that Turkey is on your border and usually wants you to form the Ottoman Empire, and will usually invade you either first or right after invading Syria, at least from my experience. Otherwise, pretty strong nation. Belgium, a nation that suffers from its position, due to the fact that you have France, Germany and the Netherlands on your borders, which all probably want you. Too bad that you also only have 1 square city. Pretty good nation if it wasn't for the position. There we go, we are starting to get to the decent nations. Remember what I said about Greenland? Think of that, but as a stronger nation that also has more formables. That's basically Iceland. Austria, a pretty strong nation with 1 pretty big flaw. Germany. But hey, if you can overcome it, you're probably set. At least it's not as bad as when German Reich was still a formable. Now imagine Bulgaria, but if it didn't have Turkey on its border at the start of the game. Yeah, that's basically Serbia. Hungary is just Austria, but you know, you don't have Germany that might insta-declare on you. Finland. Pretty safe country, but you can have some troubles expanding due to just not having access. And also Russia might invade you to form the Russian Empire, or Sweden to form the Swedish Empire. Otherwise, nice nation. Hey, Portugal, the nation that borders Spain. Which, you know, is its problem. You do at least have 2 square cities to defend yourself, but Spain usually instantly invades you to form the Iberian Union. Either way, if you do manage to destroy Spain, you're so set for the game because of the formables as well. Norway. One of the most annoying countries to invade in Rise of Nations due to its combo of mountains plus Arctic biome. Either way, that's the whole point of it. While it's not that strong and it doesn't even have a square city to begin with, it is really hard to invade. But it also has really good formables, especially the North Sea Empire. Yes, we are already at the B tier where all the good nations are. Starting off the B tier is Poland, which is a strong nation that borders Germany and also has flat terrain. But hey, it has really good formables at least if you do manage to survive. After it, we have the Netherlands, which also borders Germany. But hey, at least it has 3 square cities and an easy formable that makes it a lot easier to fight. I even made a guide on it, check it out. Greece is just a stronger version of Bulgaria, but it also has way better formables. One for early game, mid game and late game, it's great. We finally hit the top 10, starting off with Switzerland, the neutral country in both world wars. Of course, for a good reason. It has really annoying terrain, but that also makes it really easy to defend. The main issue is that you can't really expand anywhere without killing either Germany, France or Italy, or going into Austria. Other than that, it's really solid. Speaking of neutral countries during the world wars, we have Sweden, which is a stronger version of Finland that has a better position due to not being invaded by Russia to form anything, and also just having way more options to expand. Not to mention that the formables are really great, especially the Swedish Empire, which grants one of the best modifiers in the entire game. Imagine a stronger version of Poland. That's basically Ukraine. The difference is that its neighbor is Russia, but hey, the formable is also easier to form due to the neighbors not having any significant terrain. Speaking of Ukrainian neighbors, we have Romania, which is actually a pretty strong nation if you ignore the fact that it only has 1 square city, that has a lot of cities to spam factories and has really good terrain to defend, and is also stronger than most of its neighbors except for Ukraine. These nations are absolutely fantastic. Starting off the A tier, we have Spain, which has a really nice border with France that it can defend. It can easily eat Portugal to form Iberia, and is overall really good. The only thing keeping its position from 20 points is the fact that you don't really have that many options to expand except for North Africa, I guess. After Spain, we have Italy, which is really similar to Spain. First of all, it has almost the exact same population, and its border with France is also filled with mountains, which makes it easier to defend. What makes it better than Spain is just the fact that its position overall as a country is better, due to you having more options to expand. You can go into Austria, the Balkan, North Africa, or even Turkey. That's why it made it to the top 5 in my rankings. And right after it, we also have France. Now, as long as you don't get ganked by all of your neighbors, France is actually a really strong country. It has amazing formables. But like I said, if you get ganked by Germany, UK, maybe even the Netherlands, you're usually gonna lose. Which is why its position isn't the greatest. You know them, and you maybe even love them. These are the best nations in Europe. Starting off with the United Kingdom. A country that is an island nation that is really strong. Yeah, sounds about right. It has a lot of square cities to spam tanks. It's stronger than its neighbors. And has amazing formables for both early, mid and late game. It's just fantastic. The only slight issue, which isn't really an issue, is that you don't really have that much access to Europe because you're an isolated island nation. Until you take France and form Franco-British. But yeah, that keeps it from having 20 points as position. Either way, it's still an amazing country. And right after it is obviously Germany. Do I even need to talk about this one? Well, for starters, you're in Central Europe, giving you access to most of Europe to expand. All of your neighbors are weaker than you, so you can just steamroll them. You have a lot of square cities to spam tanks, and a really good economy, and good manpower. You can definitely get ganked, but usually you might be still able to steamroll them all. Doesn't really matter, at least if you're good enough. You might be wondering why Germany has the same strength as the United Kingdom, even though Germany has more population. Well, that is because UK is a bit more developed, and their starting income and manpower gain is almost the same. Either way, yeah, I doubt that anyone was surprised that Germany is this high. It is really obvious. And if you can play it right, you can conquer all of Europe really early. Oh, did I forget to mention that it has the formable with the best modifier in the game? And overall, really good formables. Yeah, this one is a no-brainer. However, there is one country that is a lot stronger than Germany, a lot bigger than Germany as well, and is in a way better position than Germany. And that is, of course, Russia. Where do I even begin? Like I said, it's the strongest nation in Europe, having the most manpower due to the fact that Hyperion decided to make it start with limited conscription, which gives it so much manpower. It has an insane amount of resources, not to mention if it takes over Kazakhstan it has even more. Its position is pretty secure with all of its neighbors in Europe weaker. It has a good mid-game formable. Now you might be saying, yeah, but what if Germany invades you? You have only flat terrain. Yeah, but it takes a while to get to Moscow, especially because usually Germany won't have Ukraine and stuff. Usually you'll take it. And you might be saying, what about China? Bro, have you ever checked the Chinese border? It has the most insane terrain, not to mention the biome there is absolutely mental and no one wants to go through that. It's really secure. The only reason why it doesn't have the perfect 50 score is because it only has one formable. Yeah, it's a great one, but it's only one and it's in mid-game. You don't have an early game one. And this is why, in my opinion, Russia is the strongest nation in Europe. Anyways, yeah, that was all European nations ranked. If you want to watch me rank all formables in Rise of Nations, then click the video on the screen.